So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find in the scripture used the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the Israelic lineage from the time of the prophets of this period, so then we can understand the time of the end. And during this section of the prophecy where we understand time of restoration and reduction, we find ourselves then during a time where then we begin our quest understanding the layer of the Gentiles, and particularly our country, involved with so many changes in the political understanding. And then this huge place in the Ozarks built this cover-up with some sort of person working with security system and the government. He used to work for the CIA and so on and so forth. And then it's very unique because they are building so many banks around the area where the Ozarks place is at, where the new capital, as they think, is going to be at, hoarding up money. But what kind of money are they hoarding up? Is that our own monetary system won't be valid? So the whole work so far they have done then went to waste, because they are building a lot of banks around the area, Mountain View. For every 50-some people, then they have a bank for 50+ people. Can you imagine how much wealth, but what kind of a monetary system they are using it? When the money crashes, what are they going to do with it? The problem is, when the system is linked up, then they have to use these monetary value against the new system, and there is no value in it. How are they going to match up? What we understand as banking today, then when the monetary system is not updated, this means precisely what IMF said. Some time ago they said we should change our monetary system because it's not going to hold the value in the market. Value in the market. So do we think then without updating our money we would have then some value, the paper money value then in the future when the system comes? The problem is when the system comes, we have to do trade with this new system, or then we can't do trade with China because it's going to be online. And in order for us to do trade with China, we have to have then the monetary system matching what we produce, because this is what China do. They match what they produce, they match their earnings, and it is computerized. So far they have their own leverage of producing paper money, but then in the future, because our breaking then is going to be computerized. So what kind of a monetary system are they going to use? So the whole works over there in this Ozarks place went to waste. There's no reason for it. First, because if we understand precisely what the scripture is then indicating, time of restoration and reduction, we have yet 36 months. It's quite a long time. And you can say that we won't be able to get our tax code then updated to avoid this junk they have built over there in the Ozarks? That's the only problem we are facing, updating our tax code. If we update our tax code, then we are in line then with the future system. But then the government was instructed wrongly. So they thought they could hold with their own understanding of, the scripture of some sort, because the city over there that goes into the mountain has 12 gates. You can understand where they got the idea from, at least what they thought it would be. So they're expecting the ruining of our society and our money, but then we understand it's going to have a system in the future. And the action that should be taken is the updating of the tax code. Then those places won't be required. So the whole works went to waste. You know, cover up with the CIA agent and the whole 9 yards, and used to work for the military and security and so on and so forth, and Overwatch system over there with the equipment in space, and you know, the whole works went to waste. FEMA camps and the whole 9 yards. They haven't even evaluated how many non-legals are doing trading in the internet. What are they earning? No regarding the name of the person, because you can track down via transactions. Any transaction you do in a computer, if you buy, then you have an ID. As long as the government is receiving its revenue, then they can deal with the rest of it simultaneously. But without revenue, then it's, you know, they have to print out more money, but go so far. And can you imagine? 50 millions. 50 and then 6 zeros. Squares, space, in a mountain. It's a very big place. And if we understand the times and the seasons, it won't be used. Because what it takes to get in line is simply update the tax code. Because they did not understand Revelation, or then Galah, the third part of the ships. They did not understand the Israelic prophet. Then at the end would be people going to and fro, and knowledge would increase. Who was then Daniel? Was a statesperson, a trader. He used to do trade for Babylon. He was speaking of the trade of the end. He was a trader. He was doing deals from amongst nations. So the whole works went to waste. That's how, in quote, wise is our government. So then the best is kind of a, you know, maybe we should halt those places over there. They are building underground so much of it with our money. Maybe we should halt those places and, you know, update the tax code. So then we won't have a breaking down of our economy. And we can continue on revitalizing our industry. This we should be doing a long time ago. But then the religious people, you know, they got some understanding of the scripture and they were led wrongly. FEMA camps, wasted money. You know, trying to come up with some sort of a center of biohazard from Plum Island over there, and in the center of U.S. where we get our animals from and meat. Sinister plans and so on and so forth. None of it is going to be used. Because as we understand from Yeshayahu, even the heathen would observe the mighty works of the Creator, and they would be included. Even the heathen would take care of your vineyards and flocks. You understand, not only farming, time of restoration and reduction. So a lot of money wasted in the projects. I'll move on with it. As far as we understand, the tax code must be updated. Then we can get the nation somewhat straightened out and lined up in the next 36 months. There's plenty of time. The problem is, these lazy people from the government, they don't want to work. And they should work in such a way, every transaction where there is earnings, the government should have a share of it. So then taxes are being deducted from each transaction. Always money circulating, always the system going and going. Otherwise, when our money breaks in the future, then the system is then online, and then our country can deal with trade because we are not prepared. Yes, the nation can get a computer with a very large capacity memory in it, but how are they going to come up with the numbers? You have to have trade and exchange for the number. If you don't have a trade, you don't have the number. If you try to pay somebody without the number, it doesn't get paid. And then the system seizes up. We got a lot of work to do. 36 months yet.